Number 3 says which expression is equivalent to t squared minus 36. Two ways to do this. We can factor t squared minus 36. That's one way. And then the other way is we can use our answer choices A, B, C, and D and multiply them out using the box method. And I'll show that. I'm going to do it the factor way first, and then I'll check my work multiplying them with the box method. And you'll have your own choice. But remember, this is calculator inactive. Factoring out t squared minus 36, you're going to multiply the outside terms. So what's the coefficient of t squared? It's understood, if nothing is there, that that's a 1. Us mathematicians, we get pretty lazy, don't we? So 1 times negative 36 is negative 36. And then after I've multiplied those, I'm thinking, what is going to add up to my middle term? Well, I don't have a middle term. So if nothing is there, that's really a 0t, which means there's nothing there. So what will multiply to give me negative 36 and add to give me 0? So we're going to list out the factors of 36. And I'm thinking, we have 4 times 9 will work. We have 6 times 6. We have 3 and 12. And obviously 1 and 36. Let's see if any of those are going to work for us. And remember, since that's negative, one of these has to be negative. So I'm looking at 6 and 6, and if I make one of them a negative 6, the other one a 6, negative 6 times 6 gives me 36, and negative 6 plus 6 gives me 0. So that's how it has to check. It has to multiply to give you the number above, and it has to add to give you the middle coefficient, which is 0. So negative 6 plus 6 is 0. So that works. Now we write it over our lead coefficient. Well, my lead coefficient here is 1. And it's 1t is how I'm going to write it. So you just put the lead coefficient on the bottom, and then since we have that, we can write this in this form. We're trying to write it to be like t minus 6, t plus 6. We're going to put it in that form. So 1t would just be t minus 6. And then the other one is a positive 6, so it would be t plus 6. And that's going to be not A, that's actually going to be answer choice B. So we're going to check that now using the box method that I talked about earlier. So let's go back to that to check our work. Alright, I just made a box, and I put t plus 6 on the top, and we're going up and down, and then going across I'm going to put t minus 6. It doesn't matter if you had it the other way around, you're still going to get the right answer. And we're going to go ahead and multiply. You're using the distributive property essentially, but you're doing it more than once because you have to distribute the t, and some teachers like to call that the FOIL method. I just teach it with the box method, and that's what FOIL would look like. So you're distributing the t, you're distributing the 6. So t times t gives me t squared. This is 6 times t, and 6 times t is going to give me 6t. And now I'm up here, I'm doing t times negative 6, that would be negative 6t, and then I'm lining up the negative 6 and the 6 are going to be multiplied now. So 6 times negative 6 is negative 36. So essentially you're just lining up the column with the row and multiplying them. And now we want to add our like terms. So do you see any like terms there? I see a negative 6t and a 6t, and they both have a t to the first power, so those are like terms. And what is 6t minus 6t? Hopefully you said nothing. So t squared minus 36 is going to be working backwards to get our answer. So if you're at a loss on the test, you can obviously just work from the answer choices and see which one matches the actual answer up there. Number 4, which is the graph of the function f of x equals 4x squared minus 8x plus 7. Well, this does not have a calculator, so we can't just call that y equals and type it in our calculator. So we need to see if there's any shortcuts first off. If you plugged in a 0 for x, remember that if you plug in a 0 for x, then whatever remains is going to be your y-intercept. And that's where it crosses that y-axis, the vertical axis. So let's look there. Our y-intercept right here is 7, because if I plugged in a 0 for x and a 0 for x, 0 squared times 4, that's 0. And then 8 times 0, that's 0. So it's really just 0 plus 7. So your y-intercept is going to be 7. So honestly, this one's really easy if you just look at the y-intercept, because A, B, and C all have different y-intercepts. This is the only one, answer choice D, that has the correct y-intercept. If 2 or more of these had the same y-intercept, then we would want to make a table. Your table would look like this. You're just putting the function in the middle, and x and y go on the left and on the right, and that'll give you your ordered pairs. So we already plugged in a 0 for x and got 7 for y. We just did that. So let's try, I want to plug in a 1 and see if these are going to match up. So if I plug in a 1, it would be 4 parentheses 1 squared minus 8 parentheses 1 plus 7. And we do order of operations, so we do exponents first here. So 1 squared gives us 1, and then 4 times 1 gives us 4. And then now I'm doing minus 8 times 1, so that would give us minus 8 plus 7. And now I really need to be careful with my order of operations. I do add and subtract, whichever comes first from left to right, so I need to do that first. 4 minus 8 is negative 4. Plus 7, which gives us 3. So I can see right away that 1, 3, go right 1 up 3, and that point is on my graph. That's actually my vertex. So 1, 3 is on there, and I could plug in a couple more points just to be sure and to be safe. It looks like I'm going to get 2, 7 should be my next one. If you plug in a 2, you should get 7, and you can continue to work that out.